It is Brent Daniels, and I am excited about this Let's Be Real special episode. Now, here's the deal. My guest on this, Brian Ponciano, is raw. He drops a lot of F-bombs. He is cursing. He is being real. He comes from the streets of LA, and he has brought himself up to owning right around 100 units, and he started with wholesaling to build up his business. This is an excerpt of a really long interview, but in the idea of keeping this so that you get the most meat and potatoes out of this video, we shortened it. We got the best stuff out of it, and here it is. Check it out. Let's get meat and potatoes.
Yes.
So you started out door knocking and finding wholesale, right? And then you started flipping.
That is correct.
Right? You and Chris.
No, separately. So initially, I started off wholesaling, as I mentioned, with that first investor.
Yep.
2008 happened, and I lost my ass like everybody else did.
Yep.
Went back to corporate America for a year and said, "Fuck this! I'm never going back." So at that point, I started a bandit sign company.
Got it.
And the purpose for the bandit sign company was to make money while I was, while I needed to survive.
Yeah.
But also to get me around other investors.
Got it.
So as I eventually got through there, I got back into the wholesaling aspect of it, and I wholesaled for probably about 5 years. And one thing that I do want to put out there, everybody always asks me, how did you get your deals? How did you get your deals? How did you get your deals? I networked. And honestly, I didn't send out yellow letters. Eventually, I stopped door knocking. Eventually, I stopped doing all of that.
Yeah.
People were just bringing me deals from the network that I created.
Right.
And that's something that as a newbie, you should be focusing on creating your network.
So you had the buyers.
I had the buyers, that is correct.
They found the deals.
People brought me deals all the time.
Yep.
Constantly brought me deals.
Yep.
Because they knew that.
Well, you make the analogy, you made a great analogy that I really like, is you can get drugs from your friends, or you can get drugs from a drug dealer.
That is correct. Because of growing up in the hood, right? I said you can either get drugs from a drug user, or you can get drugs from a drug dealer. And a drug user in this analogy would be the homeowner.
Right.
This is somebody that only has a very limited amount of the substance that you want. What I did is I networked with other drug dealers, which in this case was other people that were in the industry.
Right.
So it could have been other wholesalers.
Yep.
It could have been other buyers. It could have been agents. It could have been lawyers. It could have been other people that are surrounded with real estate. That even other wholesalers. There was times where I would call them up, be like, "Hey man, what you got? Blah blah blah. Oh shit, I just locked up this one deal. I didn't even get a chance to do anything. Here's the specs of it, and here's what I got it for. Perfect."
Yeah.
So I knew that they were even other buyers, other buyers. I would reach out to them and be like, "Hey man, what did you got? What do you have here? Oh man, I just locked up this property, but I got this other one that's a much bigger profit. So can you just wholesale this one out for me and just give me my money back, or make a little bit of money?" So yeah, that's all I did is in that analogy. I went for the drug dealer, not the drug user, which was somebody that was surrounded by properties.
And then you started flipping.
And then eventually I moved into flipping.
And then you got up to 15 flips at one time.
And I was doing 15 flips at one time.
And that's a nightmare.
That is a yes, that's a job. It's a job, is what it is. It's a very high paying job. It's a very rewarding job. You're able to create all these things for all these people. My title companies, my contract people, everybody that worked for my contractor, everybody that wasn't involved with it, my lenders, my private money lenders, everybody got paid. Everybody was making money, and I was adding a lot of value to it. But it was a lot of moving parts. Right. And eventually, you got to be careful what you wish for. A lot of times we don't know what you don't know, and when you're first getting started, you're like, "I want to be flipping 20 houses at one time." Of course. Motherfucker, be careful what you wish for. Right. Now, mind you, I had a business system. So everything that I did was, my time was very little needed in each one of the units, meaning that I saw the property once, so it took about half an hour or so. I walked through the property, that's fine. Signed the paperwork. Then I would go check the property, inspect the property every, few weeks or so when my contractors needed another draw. And that was it. And at the end, I inspected it again, gave them all the rest of the stuff, had to sign all the paperwork and move on to the next one. So even though it was very simple as you multiply that times 15, that's a lot of freaking stuff coming in and out. My house was a revolving fucking circus, bro. Constant people. Like, seriously, if you were at my house 2 years ago, you could just sit in my living room and just run a camera. The characters that were coming in and out, title companies, lenders, contractors, everybody that was just coming in and out, was a freaking circus. And then eventually I said, you know what? This is not doing anything for me in the long run. This is good and I'm making money right now, but I'm only making money right now. This doesn't help me or my kids further down the line. And I realized that I kept on running in the hamster wheel that you called it earlier. If I don't have the next deal, I don't know what to do. You know, I locked up quite a bit of money from private investors that I was paying them an interest rate on. So if I wasn't flipping properties, I was paying them interest with not making any money, and that just wasn't good business. So it forced me to continue to, and eventually I was like, man, I feel like I'm juggling plates, and I feel that at some point, if any of this momentum shifts, all of these plates are going to come crashing down at once, not just one at a time, but the whole thing crumbling at once. I don't like that. So I started talking to mentors, and I started talking to other people that were kind of had those situations, and they all led me back into buying and holding. You know, and I run a show, which we're going to have you on our show here. It's Flipping Fridays, and one of the taglines that we have with Chris at the end when we sign off is, you want to make sure you flip for cash, but you also want to make sure you hold for wealth. Because you're flipping, whether you're flipping a contract,
flip for cash, hold for wealth.
Flip for cash, hold for wealth. So whether you're flipping a contract as a wholesaler, whether you're flipping a property as a fix and flipper, you're constantly flipping for money, but you need to start holding some of these things for long-term wealth. So eventually I bought my first single family house here, then I bought my second single family house, and then I was like, you know what? I don't like doing this onesie twosie stuff. This is taking way too long. How can I speed up this process, right? And at that point, my good friend Corey Peterson was getting into multifamily, and me and him had built an awesome relationship because we met through our bandit signs, which once again goes back to creating that network. And he was like, oh bro, check this out, man. Let me teach you the stuff that I'm doing. Let me teach you how this is going to me. I used to be the fix and flip guy just like you. Let me show you the new way. And when he did, it just opened up my eyes to just the possibilities out there. And I went to the seminar by this guy named Marco Kozlowski, and he said something that changed my life. He said, why are you going to bust your ass off to get a $10,000 check where you can bust your ass off and get a $10,000 a month? And I was like, that makes a whole lot more sense. You know, I'm able to work once, and yes, it's a harder level of work. Yes, it's a higher level of sophistication. Yes, it's a higher level of money. Yes, it's a longer term play. But man, if I get this, it's going to put me in a whole different area. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like right now I'm about to close on a deal here at the end of the month, which is going to put me at about 100 units. 100 units? Yeah, 100 units. It's going to be like, technically it's like 97, 98 or some shit like that, right? That
you own, control, what is it, like? You have ownership?
All of the above, yeah.
100 units.
100 units.
So you go from gangbanging LA to selling things door to door at companies, just cold sales, selling all gizmos and gadgets straight from China, to door knocking for deals, wholesaling, right? To getting, now, wholesaling was kind of give you your nest egg or no? Did it give you enough money to be able to flip?
No, because I was an idiot. Because I didn't have a long-term plan. And this is what I'm hoping that your listeners and that your students get from this. Is that you should always be looking further down the line.
Absolutely.
As a wholesaler, it was like, fuck it. This month I made $5 grand. This month I made 10 grand. This month I made 20 grand. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. Let me go. And the more faster, larger amounts of money come in, somehow the harder it is to keep track of that money. You know, you're just like, it don't even matter. So no, I wish if I was smart enough, I would have been able to. Now, what wholesaling did for me though was it built my reputation. So it allowed me to learn what a real deal was versus a crappy deal. Because had I had money, huge. Had I had money or access to money when I first started, I would have bought a bunch of deals that were not even.
That's the learning curve in this business. Deal or no deal, and how big of a deal is it? You know, because I've gotten deals. It was a deal, and then I found out I sold it to somebody that sold it for 40 grand more, right? On top of what I sold it for.
That is correct.
Once you figure out deal or no deal and how big of a deal is, then you understand how to make the most out of every deal, or how to decide which path you want to go. Do you want to hold it? Do you want to flip it? Do you want to wholesale it? What do you want to do? Do you want to partner with somebody on it? These types.
Yeah, and my goal when I was flipping was, when I was wholesaling was simply to get to flipping.
Right.
For whatever reason, the idea of flipping the house was like major in my head.
Well, you're the boss. It's the shows. It's HGTV.
All that stuff, man.
You got to show people the before and afters.
And
you got to walk through on social media and show everybody what you're doing. You guys
are gonna get into fixing and flipping. Watch the shows on TV and do the exact opposite.
Oh, of course.
Man, my very first flip, I did everything that they did, like going in there with the paint and the landscaping and choosing all the tile and choosing all the paint and choosing. That, dude. I did. You know how many? I did that one time. After that, I learned my lesson, and I just hired a GC. But eventually, it became, I could continue hustling and bustling and working for money, and obviously that I didn't know how to manage my money. Obviously I didn't know how to create a nest egg, which is what you teach your students, which I would highly suggest, create a nest egg, even if it's just for holding costs. Because when I got into flipping, I wasn't using any of my money. Right. So I was using hard money lenders, and then I was using private money for the gap, which is the down payment plus the holding cost. Right. So I didn't need any of my money.
Improvements? Did they pay improvement? So they put just to explain to everybody that's not sure, he would get somebody that was a money partner to put the down payment to pay for any kind of holding costs that you had, which is typically what you have to pay, the interest you have to pay to the private money lender, and then also the repair and fix-up costs. So he had somebody cover that, and then he would find the deal, he would manage the deal, he would sell the deal, and you'd split it. What was the split?
Actually, I would just pay them a percentage.
You would pay them interest on their money?
I would just pay them interest on my money. And I would not suggest you do that if you're barely getting started. Right, no. My very first deal, I split percentages just because you didn't know. Right. My very first 2 or 3 deals, I split percentages because I didn't know. Once I knew, okay, I can make this, I can pay my investors a 10% return, a 12% return, whatever, I knew that that's what I can give them. I can give to them. But, what did help me though was, and now that I think about it, I did have a small nest egg from wholesaling, which was about $25,000.
There you go.
What that did for
wholesaling is a cash machine. It is hitting a lottery. It is like a scratcher ticket with like 30 grand or whatever it is per deal. It is. That's how you
tell you guys right now. If I ever need a quick $5,000, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wholesale something. That has always been and will always be. Hey, fuck, if I need some money because of whatever, I just bought this new multifamily, but it's taking longer to get to the point where it's cash flowing or whatever, and I need to make a 5-10 quick. And one time it was like, I don't know, sometime last year or something, because I was shutting down all my flips. Everything just, one deal didn't close, and it was like 2-3 months when I didn't have any deals closed. So by the 3rd month, I'm like, fuck, man, I need to come up with like 20 G's by the end of the month. Guess what I did, guys? I freaking wholesale. Perfect, 20 G's, there we go. But it all comes from looking further down the line, and I did have that nest egg, which allowed me to put in for earnest deposits, and which allowed me to put in for down payment. Sometimes I needed to put in the down payment before I could get the money lender in there. So I knew that I had a money lender.
This is a flip.
This is for a flip, yes.
Not wholesale.
Not a wholesale. So now I'm buying properties from wholesalers. They're like, you need $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 earnest deposits. So obviously that needs to come out. And then I get money from a hard money lender, and he says you need $15,000 down. Well, I can put that for my money, and then when I got the investor's money, then I would replenish my money. Got it. But that nest egg helped me move from deal to deal to deal, and that a lot of that came from wholesaling. Love it. And then now you're into multifamily.
Now you got 100 units multifamily.
Man, now we're about to.
Now you're sourcing deals. You're getting people bringing you deals. You've got people that are coming to you with money to invest with you because you find these deals, and because when you buy them and you get them all fixed up and you put the tenants in them, all of a sudden now they're worth significantly more, right? And then they get refied out of their property, they get their money back, their principal back, and then they can do it again. They can.
I'm looking to do that with my first one. So my very first apartment complex deal. I got seller financing from the seller. I talked to a good friend of mine. I said, hey, I need X amount of money. Here's what I'm willing to do for you, and we're going to split the profits. And with that particular guy, I gave him percentage of ownership. Nonetheless, though, we've gotten to the point now where here within the next few months, I'm going to be able to refinance his original money out. I'm going to be able to refinance from the loan that we got seller financing to a long-term loan, and then we'll be cash flowing even more than we're currently cash flowing right now.
Now, when you get traditional financing on these units, are they just, I mean, are they just looking at the asset?
Yes.
And lending on the asset?
It's called asset-based lending.
Right.
Which is something that...
So they're not looking at your personal credit score and how much money you have in the bank and all these things. Nope. They're looking at how much what is this property producing income-wise? What is it worth if it were to be resold, right? And then they do an appraisal and they give you a percentage
and the
of
value on multifamily is worth on the actual income coming in. So it's not as your NOI or net operating income. And what that does for us is that allows us to do force appreciation.
Yeah.
So I don't give a fuck what my neighbor sold his property for. I'm selling it at this price because this is how much money it brings.
Right.
And every single market has a different cap rate that they based off.
Yep.
Most of the stuff that I do is in smaller towns, which means that we have about a 10 cap. So to make numbers easy for people, if my property is bringing $100,000 NOI at the end of the year, meaning that after all the money that it makes minus all the expenses, we're having in $100,000. At a 10 cap, my property is worth $1 million.
Got it.
So for every dollar that I save, for every dollar that I raise the rents or whatever, I'm now raising $10 worth of value on my property based on the rehab amount. And what makes it even better is that it creates passive income. Right. Because you have your friends and family and wife or whatever. I have my friends and family and stuff that I like to do and traveling and everything else. And you can't do that while you're working. Right. But you can do that while you're building passive income. And that's what real wealth is. Not having a shit ton of money in the bank, but having money coming in every single month where you don't have to work, and having a tangible asset that you can one day sell or pass to your kids, your grandkids, or whatever the hell that is.
Got it. Love it. That's the strategy. Wholesale. This is if you have nothing, and I get it. If people want to,
most people don't. Right. And even if you have something, I would suggest you start wholesaling. Wholesaling gives you the least amount of risk.
Understand how to figure that out. I'm gonna skip. I've done it, but I don't like the next step, which is typically flipping. I think you can totally skip that, and you can start sourcing multifamily opportunities. And you can reach out to Brian. You can reach out to people around the country that have experience with this, and you can kind of get some guidance on how to put those together.
Now, do you want to? I would suggest real quick, just on the flipping side of it. I know you don't like the flipping. But to me, flipping was my first step into raising private money.
There you go. So wholesale, flip, raise private money. Get into
exactly, and if you're doing the flipping, don't get stuck for flipping for the profits. Do it to learn how to raise private money and how to get your investors flow again and learn how to make an investment.
I love that.
You can scale it up to multifamily.
Come on, awesome,
brother. I love it.
I love it. So, how do people get a hold of you? How do people that see this that are interested in maybe investing get a hold of you?
Well, you can reach out to me at Instagram at Cashflow My Facebook is right at the 5,000 people, so you can search for me on there, but find me on Instagram at Cashflow Creator. If you guys like this content, make sure that you follow me and my business partner at AZ Flip Guys. And if you're on Facebook, facebook.com/AZ Flip Guys, where we do a show every single Friday called Flipping Friday, and we're gonna have our good buddy here, Brent, on the next show. But we have literally covered every single topic, from starting, door knocking, wholesaling, raising money, private money, hard money, shit. My last 2 multifamily deals, I literally whooped out the whiteboard and knocked out exactly what we're paying, how we're raising, what we're giving to our investors, how much money we're looking to make, what those percentages and splits are looking like for anybody that has any interest in there. But yeah, if you're interested in investing in multifamily, give me a call because we got a lot of deals out there, man. We got a lot of deals out there.
Awesome. Raw and real right here. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See ya.